all this stuff started happening here, first started, I think the biggest concern that I perceive from a lot of pastors, about this, I know y'all, I just blew y'all's mind, didn't I?
So to speak.
You're going to bleep that, right?
Absolutely not, man. Amen. So welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. It is good to have you back with us on a not so chilly, but kind of chilly, rainy morning here in Corpus Christi, Texas. I am John. So glad to have you with us. Below me is Brad, and he is sounding professional right now. Brad, what did you do different?
Thank you very much.
Listen to that. Wow. An upgrade in equipment. Very good. How you doing, Brad?
Functions, that's all. It just works. That's the good part. It works,
Okay, well, we go with that. We'll go with works.
Yeah.
And right next to him on my screen is Wade. Wade, what's going on, brother?
Good morning. It's raining here, as a matter of fact.
It is.
I don't know about where you are, but it's raining.
It is. I thought it stopped, but then I took my earphone out and realized it's still raining. So I just had it too far up my ear, I guess. I couldn't hear it. So it is raining pretty good. And right above Wade is Tom Tarver. If you can't read, are you looking up his nose?
Backwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Revrat Tom Mott. Yeah.
I'm just gonna call you Tom, man. That's all right. Tom, How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Really enjoyed it. And for those who didn't get the inside joke about Brad, he was sounding a little spacey earlier, and he has
Which
changed.
is my normal sound.
Yeah, spaced out. Yeah, he was staring for quite a long time.
Yeah, we did catch you in an uncompromising position there for a few moments, but
unflattering.
Very good. And I didn't do this on purpose, guys. So last week, Tom and I met to record, and you guys missed it. So you missed it. That's all I can say. Because once the day passed, it passed. It was National Compliment Day. So I gave Tom a compliment. So you guys missed that. Sorry. I'll see you next year.
And it wasn't even a joke. He sounded serious. I mean, I accepted it as if he wasn't kidding. So
he was digging deep.
Yeah. I think it had something to. I like the way your eyebrows are kind of not so bushy anymore.
Yeah, where do you go to get your eyebrows done, man?
Yeah, you're not waxing them, are you? Please tell me you're not waxing them. All right.
Okay, well, what I meant to say was I didn't do this on purpose. It just came up my feed this morning. I found out today is another special day in the nation. Today is Yodel for Your Neighbor Day. So, anybody?
I'm out.
My neighbors are all at work, so yeah, it'd be a long yodel.
I live on a corner, so I really only have one neighbor. He's busy.
I might. This dog is kind of quiet right now, and I might scare her.
Yeah.
My dog is right here. He will not leave my side. He does not like the thunder.
Yeah, that's the same with mine. She's over here to my right.
So maybe a yodel would be a good break.
We gave up yodeling for Lent.
I can make my dog yodel. It'll take me a few minutes, and it's really annoying.
You got to wind them up.
I got to go get the harmonica and start playing.
You play the harmonica for real or no?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been thinking about, I asked a bunch of people what's something new I should learn how to do, and I actually thought about, I'm gonna play the harmonica. I used to play with it as a kid, and had the image of the Blues Brothers and everything. I should learn that.
I can tell you how to do that.
Out. You got to wear shades if you're gonna.
Gotta wear shades.
Yeah.
I can tell you how to do that.
No, those aren't shades.
Those aren't shades. Yeah, very good.
Those don't,
Okay, I may hit you up. Do any of you guys play golf either?
I've
been thinking about.
I play it poorly.
I've been thinking about picking up golf too. Why? Just because I hate my life, I guess. That's what I gather from other people.
It's a good walk spoiled.
You don't play, John?
I don't play anything. I dominate.
You have never played around a golf?
Oh, I have, but nothing. We used to live on a golf course, actually.
Do you own clubs?
I don't, but I could.
Okay. I was going to suggest a foursome, but I'm going to back off of that now.
I have all the right equipment and I look really good playing it, but I don't play well. It's important to look good. That's all that I ever cared about.
So you got the snazzy shorts and
Oh,
all
no,
that?
no, knickers. Got to wear
Okay.
knickers. High
Okay.
socks with a little beanie cap with a
Right
little
on.
puff ball on it. I'm telling you, yeah.
We're down to
Sweater.
we're down to a twosome, Tom.
No, the thing about it is I'm more than willing to play golf. I just play very poorly.
I do too.
Yeah, the moment you said that, I remember again, Jason Fry. And earlier I told the story pre episode, but about Jason Fry. But Jason won maybe as a silent auction or something. Anyway, it wasn't a raffle. We United Methodists don't do those things, at least not openly.
At church, right?
We don't confess to it, right?
Yeah, we don't. But anyway, and so I was one of 4 people who got to play that day, and I think we played 2-on-2, which was good because every now and then we would use my shot. But and that's one of those. At least we used my shot out of the 18 holes. We used it twice.
There you go. That's right.
But I sent the one of them. We were close to Saratoga, and I sent it down Saratoga. It's like over the fence on the. I think I did hit the road in the air. So it was a pretty hefty shot. It was also like, about 45 degrees off of where the hole actually was in order to get it. So
I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to say we need to have a foursome and play for money.
Only if you spot me 80 strokes.
you're gonna be 3 against 1.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. So in Oregon, you ever been to Oregon?
Yes.
I have.
I've
No.
never been to Oregon.
I've played the organ.
Okay, very good, very good. One of only 2 states left where you cannot pump your own gas, right?
Oh, really?
I did not know that. I don't remember that being true when I was there, but
Is that because of the school system or what's the rationale behind that?
Just one of their things that they've held on to. It's kind of one of those cherished nuances of living in Oregon. Off the top of my head, I want to say it's New Jersey. I want to say I had this conversation.
Yes.
It is? Okay.
It is New Jersey. Yeah.
That's the other state where, there's just like in the old days, I guess, the gas attendants that pump your gas.
It has a lot to do with spilled gas as well.
Really?
Spilled gas, yeah. Spilled gas creates air pollution.
Okay.
And so they're trying to keep the air pure that way. And if they can control it that way, it's a secondary reason, but yeah.
So have the professionals do it, in other words.
Absolutely.
Well, there is a bill that was introduced in Oregon to change all that. Yes, a bipartisan bill of all things. Can you believe believe this? Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the first time to see. That's where I saw it, alongside New Jersey, one among 2 states that still require gas stations to have full service pumps. But HB 4151 would make it to where 2 or 3 pumps could make if a station has 2 or 3 pumps, they could make one of them self-service. Now, a couple of reasons why I thought this was funny. Well, I grew up pumping gas. I mean, I've done full service before. We had one in Mercedes, of all places, Mercedes, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I always feel weird. Like right now, we still do, the pickup at HEB.
Oh yeah.
And I feel super entitled. I feel curbside. I feel horrible about it because I feel like I'm getting like an exam at the doctor's office because I have the trunk open and they're just loading stuff in. I'm like, this is so uncomfortable for me. So the whole
go to.
yeah, I'm kind of I don't quite get the connection, but
it's uncomfortable. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
So
you're uncomfortable at the doctor and you're uncomfortable with curbside. Okay.
And full service. It's uncomfortable. But
I've
also
never had a doctor come to my car, but okay,
Oh,
Just saying.
But the reason why I also thought it was funny because I was looking at a couple of the comments, because some people, of course, are for this. What's happening now is that they're having long lines because of work shortage, things like that, or
Right.
workers. And so, but they relaxed some of the rules for the pandemic, just for that. But they're starting to see some issues with it. But and you talking about professionals, Brad? Okay. So the Oregonian, which is like one of the newspapers, asked on Facebook, "Would you pump your own gas if you could?" No, I don't want to, nor do I want to see people lose their job. This law is heartless and being pushed by greedy firms that want to fire people and make more cash off of you. Nope, wrote another woman. I appreciate having someone who is employed and knows what they're doing. Do it for me.
It's really, really hard. I had to pass a test in order to self-serve. Yeah.
Now I will say, you guys, this routine, having 3 teenagers that I taught how to drive, and at one point, this is how you pump gas. How do I do it? So, okay, fine, but it took one time.
That's it. It's not rocket surgery. No, I think the weirdest part is that I would be concerned about is they're going to drop the price of gas.
This says that it wouldn't change the price of gas either way, that you wouldn't be charged more for either one of those.
So the gas company is making more money
apparently
because they're not having to pay labor,
which is a big surprise.
Yeah, just saying.
So hopefully,
because say the bottom line is as long as I get fuel in my car, I honestly, if I can afford it, and having lived in other places, we're not exactly paying exorbitant prices for our gas.
No, not even close.
All right.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if I should ask this or not, because I understand supply and demand and all that, but how can you have in one city prices that are just totally not even close? You can be off by like a quarter sometimes in some of these bigger cities, or even more than that. What's the rationale besides that, other than some other company making more money?
Well, as a companion to that, I live in Corpus Christi, Texas. I'm within a stone's throw of probably a good majority of the refineries in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I pay more for gas than they do in Austin and San Antonio. It
How
doesn't
about
make
that?
any doggone sense.
How about that?
We should be able to just go up to one of those big old vats and just
ladle it out, pay by the cupful.
I don't understand it at all.
How are your siphoning skills, guys? You ever?
They suck.
Which is a good thing, right? I mean,
that's right. It's same principle as a vacuum cleaner. That's your vacuum cleaner.
That's right. A good vacuum cleaner sucks. Very good. Okay. Anyway, all right. Very good. All right, guys. So here's what I want to talk about today. Article that came out in the New York Times as an opinion piece. I found out actually the writer. I found out like I did investigative journalism. It said it at the bottom.
Called her, talked to her.
No, I said it at the bottom of the article.
You read the whole article.
Yeah, of course. I am prepared, right? Anglican priest, Tish Harrison Warren. So she did a opinion piece entitled "Why Churches Should Drop Their Online Services," and she takes about 3 pages to put out her argument that it's time to stop with the online services. Now, before I ask you guys to jump in and lead us in a conversation about whether we should or should not, she begins by talking about how she recognized that online worship was important. It was a need. It was a way to address what was happening in the world, really, and then a way to love the congregation. She says at one point actually that her church, my church, was one of the first in our city to forego meeting in person and switch to an online format. And I encourage other churches to do the same. So she talks about she doesn't have anything against online services or the idea of it, but that it was an idea that was for a particular time, a necessity, but is not such a necessity anymore. I'm going to read you a couple of quotes to get us going. She actually says that churches should drop virtual option because this is the way to love God and our neighbors. And I'm adding this now. That's what she's saying. For all of us, even those who aren't churchgoers, Bodies, with all the risk, danger, limits, mortality, and vulnerability that they bring, are part of our deepest humanity, not obstacles to be transcended through digitization. They are humble and humbling gifts to be embraced. Online church, while it was necessary for a season, diminishes worship and us as people. We seek to worship holy, holy meaning not HOLY, but
Completely.
WH, completely, with heart, soul, mind, and strength. And embodiment is an irreducible part of that wholeness. Now, as I read this, there were several things that I affirmed that she said, um, but I didn't come to all the same conclusions she did. So just jumping off from there, guys, let me ask you about what she's talking about online church diminishing worship and us as a people.
First of all, I would say, there's the physical church I attend, which it was interesting when I was standing up in a group of people saying, "This is where you're from." I said, in my church is Kelsey Memorial United Methodist in Corpus. So it's a physical, and my physical presence is there. And I'm not gonna watch, John. I'm not gonna watch you online. I see you enough, on Monday, Sunday, and Monday.
You're welcome.
Sometimes Thursday. No, but
Thursday. Maybe on the golf course.
Yeah, maybe on the golf course, losing money to Wade. So,
right.
Yeah, that's because that's a good conversation for a bunch of Methodist pastors. But anyway, but I also have been attending a church, a Black church in New Jersey, and it certainly doesn't diminish me to do that, because it actually expands my experience, as far as, because it's a cultural shift to attend a Black church in New Jersey. In fact, if I attended a Black church in Corpus versus one in New Jersey, it would be a cultural shift. They're not the same. They address, or at least in my experience, the conversation is different in the two places. And so but I also recognize that what she's getting at is there is the physical community that it really is essential for us. It's important for us to be in the same room, and something changes, say, between even our conversation here and our conversation at Rudy's when we get together on a Thursday morning. We see and talk differently. So I understand her perspective, but it's not like you have to choose. You either go this way or you go that way. And there's only, there's pros and cons for each of those.
So you think it's an unnecessary, hard sort of decision to make?
Oh, I know it would be for a lot of churches now, because you still have people, you are catering to those who are cautious. Like, for example, my wife is not one who attends physical church, and she won't until she feels like, for her, she feels comfortable with the risk factor. Now, and there are lots of people who are in that boat. So it would be difficult to take that away from those who attend worship by internet.
Yeah. Wade, what do you think, man?
I think online worship didn't start with the pandemic. I think there's an audience that with art, and I can, she's talking really as much as anything about anecdotal things. So anecdotally, I know that there are people on our online community. There's several people who have been ordered by doctors not to go out in public. It's a small number of people, but those people are there. I've had some people that have moved away from Corpus Christi who join us online. Most of them also have a physical church that they attend or have attended wherever they are. I felt a little bit like she was trying to create a previous experience of normal. I feel like through history, the message of God, the message of the gospel has not changed, but the medium has changed over and over again. And I really felt like she was suggesting a one size fits all type of thing. I just don't think. I think that has been a bad idea for a lot longer than we've had a pandemic. I think I think the idea of embodiment is a valid thing. Is it more important than several other variables? I think we could argue about that. So I thought the article was really one person's opinion that created a lot of that has the potential to create some clicks. So I didn't find it all that helpful, to be honest with you.
Okay, so she'd probably have trouble with metaverse church, you think?
Yeah, meta anything probably. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a place for all of this. And I don't think anybody here in this virtual room that we were meeting in, it's not in person, would suggest that one thing over the other. I think I think with just like with most things, there is a both and possibility, and so most of my people who are online, and we have a pretty regular group, and yes, they're not in the same place, but we host that in a chat room, and they are active chatters, and when I'm able to be there, they ask lots of really good questions and interact with the material that's on the screen, and that's a different kind of energy than you get in a live service. That doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just not the same. It's different. But I think there is exchange and mutual care that happens in that space. Is it better to be in person? I don't know. Maybe all things considered, it is. But I think this is a little bit indicative of the fact that I think everybody in the world is tired of the pandemic and they want it to be over. And I think there is a desire or an urge to just make that happen, which I think, and I think that's very much more prevalent in places like the United States, where we do whatever the heck we want to and we make it happen. And I'm not gonna take her suggestions about what we should do, but I certainly also wouldn't put my thoughts on that into any one of your churches or hers or anybody else. I mean, I think we all, outside of the envelope of this discussion, I think we would all probably in some form or fashion talk about church and actualized theology happens in a context, and all four of our contexts are very different in some ways, and they're very similar in some ways as well. And that's just for guys in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
This is all over the place. So and I think that there is some potential value or connection. If I shut down my online service, I don't think any of the people that are, I know, and any of the people that are regular there, like every Sunday there, they wouldn't be in church. Not because they don't want to be there, but because there are circumstances that don't allow that. Now, there are people who go into quarantine right now that show up for a Sunday or two online, but usually they're back. I think that the bigger issue isn't who's online and who's not, who's in person. For us, the bigger issue is who's not here at all that was here before the pandemic. That's, and I think that's the bigger issue that I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I think I feel like at the beginning, a lot of the worry that church leaders had with this online stuff, and even before pandemic, was that, oh, it's too convenient, and when you start putting convenience in like that, well, people take advantage of it. And so I was wondering, just real quick, like your experience. I mean, what do you think the percentage of people who are doing online worship out of convenience rather than, care or caution? Is it, you think it's high or is it low?
Of the people I can identify, because there's some people that don't, they're incognito when they're there, right?
Right.
And that's an option. Of the people that I know that are there on a regular basis, I don't believe it's convenience. We've got people with some real healthcare issues, and people that are currently sick, people that are out of town. A couple of the people that worship from out of town are pretty impaired mobility wise, and so getting to church on Sunday morning is something that they would depend on other people to do for them, and is a bit of a production with mobility. So is that convenience? I guess it can be defined that way for sure, but I don't know who's. There's always 4, 5, or 6 people in the live platform that I don't even know who they are. I know that there's 5 people there that are not revealing themselves. And then on the YouTube, I think sometimes.
Hold on, stop. Did you just say on the YouTube?
Yeah, on the
that is the oldest thing I've heard you say, man.
Not the Facebook.
I meant on the YouTube page, but
okay.
I think there's all we really see is numbers. We don't really know where those people are from, and so I suspect that there's a few people, I don't know what the number is, that probably were with us online, and they may have clicked on the YouTube link just to, I don't know. I would like to think maybe they wanted to hear me preach again.
Yeah, probably not. Hey, Brad, are you dropping your online services anytime soon?
Not that I'm aware of. Do you know something I don't?
Okay.
No, Wade's brought up a whole bunch of really, really good points, and I think it's something that we've all kind of, or at least I've been dealing with it in the back of my mind, trying to figure it all out. And what she is saying is I think you're exactly right. I think she's really trying to get back to some sense of former normal or normalcy. And that's, to me, that's disturbing, because it takes basically what we have been given in this challenge and says, we don't want the challenge. We want easy, and easy is a whole lot better. At the same time, I understand her arguments here about community in person. Community in person is very important to a lot of folks, but I'm looking at the congregation that I have that's online, and we're coming close to being the same number that we have in church as being online, when we're reaching those numbers, from statistics on our Facebook page and wherever else we're broadcasting. I think the big thing is, and I'm happy to hear what you're saying, Wade, because I really do appreciate that. I need to know how y'all are doing that, or I'd like to know more about how you're doing that to make the services interactive, because my biggest fear with online worship is that it becomes spectator, and spectators are not participatory. And no matter how much you try, when we were broadcasting our services, when we were uploading them as pre-recorded services during the early stage of the pandemic, we tried to make it as interactive as possible. We put lyrics up. Of course, we had all of our CCLI stuff and everything like that. But
we were checking.
Yeah, I know. And but we had lyrics up. We had prayers, on a scrolling screen so that people could pray with us. We had scriptures scrolling too as well. And, the idea was that it would be as interactive as humanly possible, or as digitally possible, I guess. And we invited people to, comment as the video was going by, or as the video was playing, to comment, that they're watching, who's watching with them, prayer concerns, we put up a digital prayer line so that folks could, enter into a prayer request to the church, and it would come straight to me or to the church office and that kind of thing. We try to make it as interactive as possible, because when you go digital, you miss that interaction, that human interaction of conversation. It's not conversational. It's like texting, texts are close to conversational, but they're not, because you miss a lot in the text. You miss facial expressions. Sometimes you miss sarcasm. Sometimes you miss emotion, and feeling like that. So there's a sense of loss of community, and I think that's what she's really picking up on. But if I'm hearing that you're doing some interactive stuff, and I've been intrigued by that for a long time and haven't been able to figure out how we can do that on our limited budget and limited resources, that's the big issue that we're struggling with.
It's free.
I'm sorry?
It's free.
Well, not if you don't have anybody to do it, somebody to actually answer
Guys,
it, that kind of stuff. So
put a pin in that. We should all four somehow do something together.
We could do that
and just rock the whole coastal bend, man.
How would that be? Awesome. That'd be awesome, man. No, I think when all this stuff started happening here, first started, I think the biggest concern that I perceived from a lot of pastors, about this, I know y'all, I just blew y'all's mind, didn't I?
So to speak.
Yeah, when it's all, so you're going to bleep that, right? You're going to edit that out.
Absolutely not, man.
Amen.
I think the biggest concern that the churches had, seriously, was we were afraid of the death of the church, and it really started talking about money. People are not.
Yeah, I remember that.
How are we going to get them to give? How are we going to keep the church alive? And that kind of stuff. And I wasn't really even concerned about salary myself, but just keeping the church in place for when this is over, and have some place where folks can come back to. But after a while, I'm starting to think more along the lines of can online church continue as an evangelism tool only? I mean, with the intention that, yes, we're presenting Christ to you online and inviting you into a relationship with Christ, but then encouraging you to find an actual practical, not virtual, but real place where you can experience that relationship with Jesus Christ, and encourage, active membership wherever you are, or active participation in a local congregation, so that you get to see people face to face instead of just being so remote, behind a screen and a camera and a microphone.
She says offering church online implicitly makes embodiment elective. Do you agree with that?
Well, I was going to say, one of the things I think in all of this is we take out the simple, let's say, the tug of the heart, because it's kind of like, well, let's just say, if online, and it's not, but if online services were basically like eating candy or cake, it was dessert. At some point, your body is going to say, I need something more nourishing than that. And our soul does the same thing. Our soul, it either becomes very unhealthy, or just because the way we're wired as people, and because of the action of God's Holy Spirit, there is this tug towards something more. There's always this tug towards something more, because our soul hungers and thirsts for the Lord and for community. We're just all wired that way. And sometimes, I mean, that's why I was thinking, that's why bars sometimes do so well, because of this. We hunger for community and we go for that. And I'm not going to say it's unhealthy to go to a bar, because there's some things that happen in bars that are healthy and that are helpful and that do nourish a person's soul, because not every conversation is just about how much you drink and the sports game. There's some things that happen there.
Sure.
And that's why I say we discount, we discount the work of the Holy Spirit and the wiring of the human heart.
Well, and to your point, part of what she says affirms that. And that's why when I started, I said, there's some things in here that she said. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I just don't think making the hard line choice to say, you know what, virtual is gone. She says,
I don't know if it makes it implicitly elective. I think it is an option, but it's always been an option because that's the way our culture is wired. Church has been an option for the last 50 to 100 years.
Thank you. Right.
And that's an issue. That's an issue that the church continually struggles with.
And can't you be just as disengaged when you're sitting in a pew as when you're sitting?
I got people, pews that are sitting engaged and totally disengaged. They're there as a spectator on a Sunday morning. But my hope is that somehow, some way, something gets planted in them while they're there, that they'll, begin to grow in that faith. But I'm not in charge of the growth part. I'm just in charge of the planting. That's,
oh yes, we forget that, don't we?
So that's part of who we are. But I don't know, it's implicit, but I'm not sure that it's overt.
And I kind of come back to, there's a couple of things. It's just, I was going to say, look, I can remember my grandmother, and I forget who it was she watched on TV when I'd go and visit her. And then we would go to the United Methodist Church in Bowie. She's very active in our own congregation, but she was also watching, one of the TV services. And of course, I hear a lot of people going on the way to church. I was listening to so-and-so on the radio, and he was talking about this in his sermon. And just, we have so many resources, and they've been around. We've moved from it only happens within a building. I mean, as Wesleyans, as followers of Jesus Christ, there was this movement from it just happens to in a building to now it happens in a meadow and happens on the as workers are going to or from work. Yeah, it's just we've got that. But I was thinking, I've had the privilege of going to a World Series game in Houston, and tickets behind me somewhere, and the experience of being there in that moment in that building when that event is happening is so much different than being at home watching it on TV. And it's funny, it's less stressful to actually be at the game than it is to watch it on TV. And I could go into why, but it's also you hear, I had earplugs because I knew better, and I didn't think they were working very well. That it seemed like, well, this crowd isn't as loud as the other game I went to once. Then I took it out. Oh, they're working just fine. But going to a game doesn't negate I'm never going to watch it on TV again. And watching it on TV doesn't negate the fact that I'd love to be there live. And I think those two things happen within the context of the church. They're two entirely different experiences, but they're not invalid. One does not invalidate the other. So, it's just, we have more opportunities and more ways to express our faith and to grow in that. And again, I do not discount what God is doing in this moment. And I do not discount the hunger of the heart for God and for community.
Yeah, I think the idea she puts forward is it's both right and wrong. It's right that for everything you all said at some point about, being together as people, that's community, that's how we're created and all those kinds of things. But wrong in the sense that it can only happen in one way, and it should only happen in one way. I don't remember if it's her article or not, when she talks about, where churches would bring communion to homebound members, right? Well, what's to say that, why can you only bring communion? why can't you have another way where you could bring in the sermon or the special music, right? And have that available just the same. It's another way that you're extending the community's presence in that person's life. So it's just a hard line, get rid of it. To me, just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem to fit what we feel like our part of our mission is. And that's, there's too many people in too many different places for us to say, they have to come here. There's just that we miss too much, I think, of the ministry that we could be offering to people and what we could be building for others if we just dismiss that outright. That said, kind of piggybacking on what you're talking about, Wade, talking about engagement. As we went through our online thing, we we did it several ways. One, kind of like you, Brad, we recorded the service and then put it up online, a couple of days later. Mm-hmm. Then I got to a point where we recorded parts of the service, somebody reading songs or prayers, right? And put those together in separate videos. And I live streamed from the house. And so, I'm leading a service live with everyone. And then, all right, we're gonna sing together. And then I, play the video of the song. Those services that I did, that's where the engagement came from, because what I think ties this all together is that there's still that emphasis on, we are here doing this together. And it's not just watch this, it's here, we're going to find a way to connect. I just started reading, I can't remember the name of it, but she is talking about the sort of return to conversation, and that the difference between connection and conversation. And a lot of times our technology gives us great connection, but we lose out on some of the conversation, which can be deeper, which somebody said a while ago about, sarcasm and things like that. That's all a part of conversation that a lot of newer generation, they don't even know how to do that in some regards. And so we can still find ways to develop that and nurture that sense. So just to get rid of it and disregard it completely seems kind of foolish and unwise to me. Wade, let me give you the last word for the sake of time, bro.
Oh, wow. I think just like with everything, I believe this with everything, whatever we're doing in ministry, I think we got to constantly be asking why, and then tailoring what we do to address the why. And I think if you can do that, if we can do that over and over, we don't get into situations as easily or often of, well, we've always done it that way. If we're always looking at why we're doing things, the why might change or the thing might change. But I think if we're asking those questions, and I think it's okay to do something that doesn't work. Just don't keep doing it if it doesn't work, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think that goes for everything, almost everything that we have attempted and will attempt during pandemic, and then during whatever happens after that, because I don't think that it's going to look the same. Yeah. With having nothing to do with pandemic, having to do with this thing kind of accelerated a lot of what was already happening in the church. So
right. All right. So I think maybe the best thing we can do is maybe just start an online yodeling worship service. Hey, you just said try it.
Can we do it?
Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Let's do it for money, though.
Best yodel gets the most cash. Okay, right. Very good.
It will.
The hierarchical structure of most experience and what have you.
I think if we were doing a better job with this, we would all be really rich Instagram influencers.
So let me tell you this. I struggle with this actually. And maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but I struggle with this.
You've been making money off of us.
No.
Finally, you're going to come out and tell us.
No, see, so no.
He retires next week, in other words.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to call the bishop. He's not going to call me. Anyway, there are, just when we talk about, and you guys know some of this, I'm sure, when you talk about marketing, when you talk about social media influence and best practices, guys, I know a lot of that stuff. but it feels in a lot of ways kind of, I don't know, I'll just say wrong, lack of a better word, for me to try to employ a lot of those tactics almost onto things I try to do, right? I write a daily devotional. I'd like a million people to read it. I struggle with, hey guys, read this daily devotional, because I know there are other faith leaders, pastors who, will use that then, and they get, they get payment and all this kind of stuff. And even with this podcast, there are ways that you could monetize it back. So I'm like, is that what we're trying to do? Is that, does that take away from what we said we want to do and things like that? And so to me, this all ties together, because the online part of it is there, and we're doing different things with online ministry, and to think that we can't or shouldn't, again, I think it's unwise. And so we got to find the best way, the most faithful way for us to do that. And so I struggle with, yeah, you know what, if I just kind of psych everybody out and, do some kind of luring into, I could get more people to listen, but then I don't feel quite comfortable doing that. So it takes effort.
That's a definite no to the yodeling for money. Okay.
Let's pray about it.
This close. I was this close. No, I was this close.
This close. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to that. I'd be interested to hear what a lot of our people have to say about that. What have your experiences been with online worship, and how do you see that ministry continuing or not in your churches? Once we all get out of this time, I think that we have perspectives as church leaders, and that maybe other people, the regular person in the pew, maybe they would add another perspective as well that would be helpful. So let's hear from you. We want to keep that
connected.
Going.
Do you feel connected in that kind of environment, in that worship experience? That's a great question to start with.
That's right. Very good. All right. So thanks for listening, everybody. Go ahead and practice your yodel. You have all day. Actually, by the time everyone watches and listens, it'll be past. But hey, you know what? Spread the love. Who cares about just a certain day on the calendar? Guys, go practice your yodel, and we'll see you next week. God be with you.